Yo, this is Fred Hamilton. I would like y'all to join me in a series of conversations with the men in my family as we discuss our journey through the obstacles of being black in America on our way to attempt to achieve this American dream. So dig it. What's the obstacles of being black in America? Well, the obstacles of being black is a series of things. It's some systems put in place to destroy us and our families. So check it out. I'm going to go down this list slow so y'all can go back and look all these things up when you got some time. So it began with slavery. Then they hit us with peonage, the 13th Amendment, lynching, sharecropping, convict leasing, the GI Bill that we were denied, redlining, Jim Crow, segregation, welfare denial, war on drugs, the three strikes rule, racial profiling, driving while black, walking to the store while black, jogging while black, the school to prison pipeline. Then you got these crooked politicians and lawmakers. And on top of all that, we got black on black crime, where the brothers is killing each other. And let's not forget the cream of the crop, racism. Now, if your family was able to dodge all these landmines, then maybe you was able to get a taste of this American dream. But we're going to talk about it. What we call this is raw conversations.
So, what's up, y'all? This is another Hamilton Bros Media Network venture. Today, we're going to be talking to my Uncle Jamaal. What's up, Unc?
How's it going, nephew?
Everything's good. Everything's good. So, we're going through these series of tales. You know, they're doing everything to try to destroy history now. So, we're trying to show people how close we still are to history. You live in history. Right. So, we're going to go back to you were the first person in the family to actually be bused. So that's how close we all are still to things that happened back in those days. So let's talk about that. Okay. What year was it? And how old was you when you first got bused?
It was in, and first of all, I appreciate you having this because I think it's very important. I was 15 years old in 1972. So that's when we got that busing ticket that we had to go.
So what was going on then? They just one day say, you know, there's a lot of stuff was going on. We're going to start integrating the schools. All your brothers went to all black schools. Now, all of a sudden, you getting ready to go to an integrated school.
Right.
So how was that? So how'd you feel about that?
You know what? Initially, you know, I didn't like it, but, you know, I had to eventually accept it, you know? So just basically went with the flow, knowing that, you know, I won't be the individual having to take on that, but you know, my neighborhood, the people in the neighborhood that I knew, my friends, and everybody was going. So, you know, I was you know, ready to take on that task.
But you was big in sports and stuff back then. So how did that affect all of that? You know, now you got to go to a new team and try to integrate into this team. How did all that work?
Yeah, you know, I was really set to go to this all black school because I wanted to play for this legendary coach there in Savannah, you know. And so at one point, you know, we had a banquet. You know, I was playing prep league football, and he came to the banquet, him and another coach. And so I was really happy to have him there. And so I think at the end of the banquet, I mentioned to him, you know, I'm coming. I want to come. And so that never happened because that following year, the year after that, I got busted.
Oh, wow. So now you're thrown into this. You don't have no option. This is just the things that's going on. Let's talk about getting there. So how was the reception when y'all was bused into these schools?
You know, it was kind of, really wasn't very negative, but it was some things that I really looked at. It was a challenge, you know, at going to a white school. And at the time, the school system was like a 60-40 mix. like 60%, because we was going into a white school, so they had to have at least 60-40%, 60% white and 40% black. So going into that in environment, knowing that was a challenge coming from an all black segregated school.
Wow, wow. So what you think from this experience or these experiences? What did you gain from having to deal with this experience and having to live through it and survive through it and navigate through it?
Well, it was just a period of my time where, I kind of wasn't afraid or overwhelmed, just knowing that, I had this particular challenge with me. So it was the thing that, I lived up to that challenge, knowing that basically what was ahead of me, I had to tackle that. So that's where I was at, basically, in terms of knowing that I had this challenge that I had to deal with, and accepted that challenge.
So we're talking about a lot of stuff. We're talking about segregation. We're talking about all the race riots and stuff that was going on. We're talking about all your brothers were black. Your brother Greg is in Vietnam at this time.
Right,
we got a lot of stuff going on, man. So how did all of these events, all of this stuff that's going on, kind of shape where you are in this current future now?
At this particular, well, at the time it was challenging. It was a situation where going into an all white school and knowing the challenges of racism and dealing with that aspect of the climate that was there. So I know what I needed to do. Because my whole thing was, when I came out of a segregated school, I was a honor student, and I wanted to maintain that ability, not to be, seen as I couldn't handle myself in that environment. Mm-hmm. But my thing was that I had something to prove to myself, mm-hmm. that I wanted to be as proficient as I was in the black environment, as I, as well as being more proficient in that environment. Because again, they had their expectations and their thoughts of us not being able to meet the certain standards. And I wanted to prove not only to them, but to myself that I could.
That you could meet those standards.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. I mean, that's a heavy load. A couple of the reasons that I'm doing this is, mm-hmm. some of the younger cats don't like talking to the older cats or getting advice, and they just really don't understand how much we missing when we don't have these type conversations between us. Mm-hmm. One other thing, you see the brothers is tearing each other down now, they're killing each other. It was just such a different time between when you came up, when the brothers was all we had, and we had this close tightness, to where we get so far away from each other now. In a parting message, what would you like to say to the young guys as far as looking at how the brothers need to come back together, all the things that are changing around us now, trying to take us back to your time, to be honest with you?
Yeah.
What would you say to them in some parting words?
Yeah, just to remain focused, and because one of the things, I had challenges when I was there, because again, going into that environment, they had their expectation of us, but I had my own particular expectation, that I wanted to maintain a level of proficiency in whatever I did. So that's the main thing, that have some sense of yourself and where you want to go. What some of the things that you want to do, that you can't let racism or any other factors inhibit you from getting there. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I saw, being in that environment, there was challenges. Again, during that time, we had, when we first got to the school, it was, we had riots that broke out within our school and other schools. So the climate was tense. It's a very tense climate. But again, I wanted to focus on, after that initial shock of going into that system, once I settled down and settled into what I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted to excel regardless of my environment. Mm-hmm. And so I know at that particular time, one of the things that got me to kind of focus is like, I think that same year, I was like 15, 16, and I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And that kind of, helped me to weed through that whole environment, knowing that, having self-confidence, because the same thing that Malcolm had in terms of what he started to contemplate and look at the whole racial climate, his whole thing was like, to love yourself and love who you are. And once I understood that, I felt a lot better about myself. I remember in one of the classes, I don't remember the particular class in hand, but I remember having a conversation in the class. I raised questions after reading the book. I raised questions about, the same things Malcolm had in terms of saying how racism was and how just the color black was looked at. It was always had a negative connotation. Like, again, black ball, black cat, it had negative connotations to it. And so, and the structure, the system was set up where black was looked at as being bad or evil, whereas white was looked at as pristine, angel-like, good. So you had to find yourself. And I think what happened once I read the book and, and got a sense of who I was as a young black man, that helped me to navigate through the system, through that system and future systems, because a lot of stuff now, it's still, you see it today, the same racism is playing out. But when you have knowledge of yourself or who you are, then you can better navigate. And I think during that time, once I understood who I was, then I was better able to get through those dark times at that time.
Yeah, we more on an island now. Back then, the brothers was tight when they were going through all that racism and all this other stuff. Now we dealing with all these things on separate islands. We don't have that togetherness. The brothers are not together like that. So that's just some of the things I wanted to talk to Unc, man. I appreciate your time.
Right.
Just to say to the people, man, this is another Hamilton Brothers Network conversation. I'm going to have some more of my uncles on here. And we're going to keep talking through this, and we're going to keep talking through this and try to get to something where we can start talking about how the brothers can come back together, man, because we need that now. It's a lot of things that we're going to need each other with. So thanks again, Unc.
Okay, appreciate you, nephew, man.
Yeah. I'm going to have you back on here again.
Okay.
And peace to the people. We'll talk to y'all later.
Okay. Peace.